And I must, well, first of all, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I don't know how to say it because we are so spread around the world. Well, my best regards to everyone. It is my pleasure to participate in this conference. I'm calling you from Coimbra, and Coimbra is a welcoming, medium-sized university city located in the center of Portugal. I am a professor at the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Coimbra, and this is the old building that is located for several decades in this campus, or in the top of this hill. But some years ago, a few years ago, we moved to a new campus, as you can see here, which is a modern one with excellent facilities and above all, very, very close, very near in the neighborhood of the hospital. So there is, this is my city, this is my university, this is where I work as a professor at the Faculty of Medicine. And I came to present part of the work that I developed with my collaborators in the International Relations Office for a long time. And this work intends to show the evolution of the internationalization of the medical students over a period of 10 years. The commitment of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Coimbra, and we usually recognize it as the acronym FMUC, was involved and interested in promote the mobility of its students, and its commitment goes back to 1987, when Erasmus ECTS was still a pilot program, which years later was adopted under the Bologna process. The FMUC was the first Portuguese medical school to participate in this project, of course, alongside with other European higher institutions. And since then, the International Relations Office of the FMUC, IRO, has worked to promote and encourage students to internationalize their academic education, guaranteeing them a total full recognition and the necessary support. And as I was the director of the IRO and it's responsible over a long period of time, it was my concern to collect and to store information regarding students' mobility, both inflows and outflows, so that the evolution of the internationalization of students at the FMUC could be analyzed in the future. And that's the purpose of this presentation. So the purpose of this presentation is to present a report about the evolution of the mobility of the FMUC's undergraduate students over a decade from 2009 to 2019. And we did an observational descriptive report, and for this we consulted the anonymized records, anonymized processes from the archives of the IRO about mobility programs and both incoming and outgoing students. And the results show that both incoming and outgoing mobility progress and increase alongside these 10 years. As we can see in this figure, incoming mobility overpass the outgoing mobility until the academic year of 2012-2013, and in this time, after that, this trend changes, and we observed an increase in the outgoing mobility until the academic year of 2016-2017, which may have been a consequence of the deep social and economic crisis we had in the country. What is visible in this figure is that the initial 27 outgoing students contrast significantly with the increasing and progressive augmentation of the outgoing during this period until the end of this study, where 200 and more than 200 students apply for a mobility period outside the Faculty of Medicine. The number of incoming students, here in blue, increased progressively, as we can see, along the 10 years under analysis. Therefore, there was an increase in the number of outgoing and incoming students by the end of this period that we are studying. Excuse me. Okay, so many. Outgoing students usually choose countries where the communication would be easier. And so Italy, Spain, Brazil, and France were the most chosen countries to do this, this period. Their geographical proximity and many similarities between Portuguese and the spoken language in these countries, Italy, Spain, Brazil, and France, maybe can explain at least partially our results. Brazil, of course, is one of the top countries of preference of our students. They speak the same language as we speak in Portugal, and Czech Republic also, because the teaching and learning language is English, which is very easy for our students. Concerning gender, we can see that the number of female students who apply and complete an outgoing mobility period was always higher, as we can see these orange columns. What our experience has shown over these years is that female students have always fought side by side with their male colleagues for the best positions, the best place and opportunities. And from 2014, the fact that more than a double of female students took advantage of the mobility programs reinforced this idea and partially explain this trend. Concerning the purpose of the mobility, what was the purpose of that? Up to academic year of 2012-2013, as we can see, the majority of outgoing students go abroad to perform a period of studies instead of traineeship, as we can see here, blue columns. But the fact is that traineeship mobility programs start later than study mobility, and that's why the reason why we observe this trend. After 2014, the moment where a new Erasmus program started, the Erasmus Plus, which allows students to perform short periods of mobility abroad, to do a traineeship. As we can see, the majority of students go abroad to perform a period of a traineeship program as their mobility, their international mobility program. This was particularly important for the sixth-year students who have a full clinical traineeship academic year to fulfill. So a considerable number opt to do part of that traineeship abroad for at least two main reasons. First, the possibility to complete part of their traineeship abroad in a short period of time with less financial demands for families. And secondly, because the fact that there was no need for a bilateral agreement under the Erasmus program that enable students to look for the best place to learn and practice clinical procedures in a different hospital, in the different scientific and cultural environment, which will enrich them as future doctors as well as future citizens, or as citizens. The largest number of incoming students were students from Brazil, from Italy, Spain, Germany, and Czech Republic. And as we can observe in this other figure, alongside the continued growth of incoming mobility, we can see that there is a gender asymmetry with regard to incoming students. There is always, or there was always, a predominance of female students. FMUC received students on a large scale from institutions covered by Erasmus program, and of course Brazilian students are also or continue being an expressive number of students, both for studies or for traineeship. The Erasmus program is largely and clearly the mobility program that mobilized the most students to study abroad, both for studies or internships. Internships. The proximity of the European countries and the fact that Erasmus program support this internationalization with a scholarship, which is not the case under the other programs that, of course, we also deal with, are reasons that may help to explain the preference shown by the students. So, higher education students have numerous opportunities to take a period of their graduation at a foreigner institution, a foreigner university, and various mobility programs, but above all, Erasmus program allows students to experience different cultures and teaching activities, both when studying and doing traineeship. This report has addressed incoming and outgoing mobility at FMUC. And the main conclusions are that since 2009, we have witnessed a progressive and considerable increase in the mobility of students, both incoming and outgoing at the FMUC, of course. The majority of the FMUC students experience an exchange period abroad in countries like Spain, Italy, France, and Brazil, where the language is similar or the same as in Portuguese, or as in Portugal, excuse me, and the students who went to or came from countries with closer proximity to Portugal are definitely the top. Concerning gender, both incoming and outgoing mobility over the decade under study were dominated by female students. There was a significant increase in the traineeship mobility with the beginning of the Erasmus Plus program in 2014. Conclusion: attending a mobility period abroad provides students the opportunity to gain experience and professional training, but also personally prepares them to become citizens of an increasingly global world. And in my opinion, this is very, very important. The goals of the IRO was to stimulate and encourage students to attend a period of study at a partner institution abroad. And we may conclude that this objective was achieved by the work to clarify, to inform, to encourage, to support the FMUC students to take a period of international mobility within the scope of their studies, for which, of course, the teamwork was fundamental. We deeply believe, it is our belief that it has definitely changed hundreds of both incoming and outgoing students' life in many ways, not only at academic, but also at personal levels. This is some of the references I used. This is a picture of my university, and thank you very much for your attention.